In the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true God, in Amen we trust, as the Republic of Mentellect, the true 144,000 is being gathered in this day and time, going into the future. Good evening, I am your host, the intellectual Nuben ʟɪɪ, and this is Mentellect Radio, and tonight we're going to be discussing the difference between bright and light power. Bright and light power. People will give you this idea. Well, before I even go into it, I want those who possess or command the ability to have possess the ability to have a command of logic and rationale, to know things when you hear it, to know the truth when you hear it. I want you all to listen with open minds about what I'm going to say. You're not going to be able to go and read this out of any book. You're not going to be able to go and get any validation from white people. My words are not validated by white scientists. I'll let you know that right now. So for those of you who are listening, you say, well, let me go look that up and read and see what he's saying is true. No, sorry to shock my black listeners, but white people don't know everything, okay? I don't care how many PhDs and DRs and all that they got in front and the back of their name. At a certain point in time, you're going to have to think on your own without the assistance of white people, okay? I don't care how many DRs and PhDs they got in the back of your head to the accreditation. You're going to have to think on your own and use logic and rationale, your command for logic and rationale. I don't have to tell this to my bright people, right? Because we pretty much to the point where they're thinking on their own about, independently using their command of logic and rationale. So they'll understand what I'm going to say tonight. All right. Bright power, people give you this idea that brightness comes from light, right? The adjustment of the low grade of light, right? The contrast of light and of brightness and darkness when you see on the TV, the contrast, right? They give you the idea that brightness comes off of light, and that's not true. Bright is solar energy produced light. Bright is solar energy. Is solar energy that is produced. Solar energy produces brightness, true brightness. Right? Solar energy produces true brightness. Running water energy produces light. Okay? Running water energy produces light. Solar energy, gases burning, produces brightness, right? Burning energy. Friction. Both things where friction is going on. You have friction when water is running over land and things like that to create a friction, the movement. And then you have gases interlocking, exchanging with each other, creating a friction to create light, energy. That's the brightness, right? Light, water, bright, sun, a solar energy, right? The brightness produces the light, right? The bright is older than the light. The brightness is older than the light. And the brightness can get brighter and brighter and brighter to where it's blinding. The light can be controlled, right, by being turned out and shaded into darkness. But the bright can get brighter and brighter and brighter, and then you have to produce different stages of darkness to shade it, right? They'll see it. It's like when I tell people, I say, if you close your eyes, no matter how tight you close them, and you're outside, you'll still see sunlight peering through. That's the brightness. You can only shade the brightness. You can't shield it. You can shade it, right? Light, you can shield. Brightness carries solar energy, right? What you're calling the bright race, or we refer to as the bright race, as now the black race, we carry a bright energy, right? And I said your human race carries a light energy, which is a form of artificial energy, a form of artificial power that is based in a hybrid energy of two gases mixing with each other, carbon and oxygen to produce water, which is a hybrid. Okay, that is the false light, or should I say the false energy that is used. They call it the false light. Both give off illumination, right? Both give off a form of illumination, but one is stronger than the other. One is stronger than the other. The first illumination, a form of illumination that was used on the planet was fire. That was the first form of illumination that was used on the planet. You would see the people in medieval times, they would lighten torches to see, right? They would light torches to walk around and see things. They didn't have electricity, light. The first form of real electricity is solar electricity, solar light, solar power, right? And it is moved throughout this atmosphere, moved throughout this physical realm in all dimensions, right? And it gives birth to light. It gives birth to light. We use light, or this planet was meant to be used for a time being for light energy to go on. This is why the planet is more water than landmass, because the water carries a gravitational pull in which electric current moves through it. You know what I mean? It moves through the air as well, because even the atmosphere is based in water. The air that you breathe, the oxygen, carries water. Right? It carries a dense form of a thin form of water, because part of the water is oxygen and the other is hydrogen. These are gases. You breathe oxygen and hydrogen in the air, and some carbon and other gases. And you can also breathe out of your mouth, and you will say to a mirror, you will put a vapor or a mist, which is water that comes out, right? Because these gases are in the air to produce water on a water-based planet. Before you're born, you're in an embryonic sac and you're breathing in water, right? So your lungs are fit to be or outsourced for breathing in water and breathing out water. And then you come in and you have to breathe a less dense form of water called oxygen, right? All of this is done by way of what? Gases. And where do these gases come from? From the sun. Fire, right? The first form of pure energy, fire, solar fire. The first form of pure energy, the brightness. The brightness. Because brightness carries all forms of transmission and communication. Carries all forms of it. Carries electricity. It carries light to the planet. It carries all of the messages and transmission to the planet. Because, like I said before, if this planet does not receive proper sunlight, and the people don't here in the plant life and the growth, the plant life don't receive proper sunlight, then everyone will fall into a state of dementia, right? People will pass out. People will go, people will start to lose their minds, right? Because they will lose that valuable transmission that comes from the sun that we need every day, that the plant life and everything here needs every day. They used to say this thing where they say, the earth can be deprived of sunlight for, we can go living off the earth, just off of in the earth's atmosphere without sunlight for a time being, and then things after a while will start to die down. But that's only because a lot of the energy from the sun would be stored in the earth's atmosphere before it ran out. It's like when you fill up a car with gas, you can drive you don't have to keep having the gas pump in the car. It'll run off of the gas that it has stored in the car until it runs out. It's the same thing with the sun. It has a lot of the sun's energy stored into the planet, because the sun has an inner planet. The planet has an inner sun. And we have a solar plex within us, so we can run off of it for a while. Right? However, your water cannot sustain it. Your water cannot sustain the planet without, or that light energy cannot sustain the planet without the backing of bright energy, without the backing of solar energy. It has to sustain the planet. See, people don't want you to know, certain people, your scientists, they don't want you to know there's a difference between light and bright. They don't want you to know that. They want you to think that brightness is a contrast, just like darkness toward, when you're dealing with light, right? But the ability to unlock the hidden knowledge of brightness is the key toward traveling inward to the sun. The key to unlocking brightness. What do I mean by that? You had your scientists say things like, they would go, they broached it, is it possible to live on the sun? Is it possible? Would it be too hot? The temperatures would be too hot, right? Would it be possible to live there if, anybody thought about that? Sometimes they even broached the question or approached the question within their comic books when they said that Superman, I'm just giving this as an example, went to go live on the sun and he was able to receive and drink the nutrients of the sun. He said he lived on the sun, lived on the sun and was able to drink all the nutrients from the sun, right? And he came back to Earth fully charged. Now, if they pose a question like that, or they put something out like that, it's obviously possible. It's not ridiculous. It's not beyond, the process of thinking, because you're talking about gas. Now, they tell you that the sun is hot, the temperature you can't get, pass out from heat stroke, things like that. However, the reason why the sun is so hot, the temperature on the sun is so hot on this planet, or can get hot, is because it is charged with running a planet. It is charged with sending intel to it, right? It is charged with a lot of different transmissions coming to it at one time. This is where the temperature rises at, because it has all different sorts of intel coming through it at one time. And when it has all this different intel coming through it at one time, it causes a rise in its temperature. Like, for an example, if you load too much memory or too much data into a computer, what will happen to the computer if it's not set to take that much data at one time? It will shut down, right? So it's the same way when all this transmission, this light transmission is coming to the planet, and all this light transmission is instructions for humans, is instructions for animals, is instructions for plant life, right? Rock formations, the elemental growth of this planet, gold, diamond, all these things are receiving instruction from the sun to germinate and to grow and to develop. So you have all this, you're thinking about all of this coming at one time. This is what keeps temperature high, or this is what keeps the sun's temperature high when it hits the planet, right? But if you were to, per se, go into where this gas is taking place, these gas energies all together, and they're taking place in one space, and if you could go and you absorb that, then you can take it in. It's possible. But you would have to be outside this atmosphere to do it. You would have to be outside this atmosphere to take in the sun's energy. Now, like I said, I know it's a little over the top to say that it's possible to live on the sun. But it was a time where people said, it's impossible to go to the moon. None of these places are impossible to visit. But you have to understand how it works. Every place could be stood upon. They've already dealt with this question of, can the sun be visited? Can people live on the sun, in the sun, on it? Is it just a ball of fire? Is it gas? Is it light? It is that, light. If you can put your hand in front of a projector that is pushing light forward and it doesn't burn your hand, then you can stand on the sun. Because that's all the sun is light projection. That's all it is light projection. By the time the light projection gets to this planet, it becomes gas, right? They tell you it's gas there. No, but by the time it travels through the universe, through space, onto this planet, that's when it starts becoming gas. And it starts to heat up and the temperature starts to rise and the brightness comes out onto the planet. It has to travel. It's like, again, I'll use the example of a battery, right? If a battery is not putting out power into, say, a car, you have the cables in the car and the battery is being charged, right? Now, if these cables are not on the battery and the power is not being exchanged from the battery to the car, then it's not. Then, like I said, it's not a problem. I mean, it is a problem if you put your hand between where it's being transferred to. But if you take the cable off and you just put your hand on the poles of the battery, it's not going to burn you because it has nothing to connect to. The power in the battery has nothing to connect to. It's the same premise of the sun. The sun is used to connect power to Earth and all the other planets within the solar system. So it gives them charge. And so, of course, it will create a bright temperature or a bright energy here onto the planet for transmission because, like I said, bright denotes intelligence. And I said you are receiving intelligence through sunlight, through light projection from the Amen being. They use the sun to pass projection, to pass instruction into the planet. That's what it's used for. It is used as a form of keeping people in a mental alignment. It is the reason why you are not barking like a dog or meowing like a cat. They already have a program set where you are going to receive certain levels of intelligence. You're going to walk upright. You're going to communicate with each other. This is why cats don't walk upright and they don't communicate. They already receive a certain level of intelligence via this light projection through the sun. How to meow, how to do all these things are implanted in them. So when this light hits the planet, when this bright light hits the planet, it forms a magnetic connection with your neurotransmitters to send messages to you to keep you in a bright form of thinking, a bright form of alignment for that which is your species. You follow a program of projection. Light doesn't do that. Light simply gives illumination to the planet. It is simply here to give illumination to the planet. Right? So the illumination being that you would have to run generators, right, through water and things like that, and you would have to, through the friction, create light energy, as opposed to bright energy, which is what they're trying to do with the, because they had figured they wanted to do the solar panel thing and the solar energy, so this is their way of trying to convert bright energy. The whole solar panel things and whatnot and running things off solar energy was their way of converting bright energy, because for a long time they didn't know how to do it. All they knew how to do is run on light energy. And light energy is not just water energy. It is air energy, wind energy. All of these things are forms of light energy. Right? Energy from artificial elements within the planet. Right? The only real element that comes from outside the planet is fire. Fire. Right? That's bright energy, the first light. That's bright energy. Our people, this bright energy, it courses through us. We are the bright, not the light. The light is your human race. The bright is your Amen race, the God race. The brightness, the solar energy that moves through us is the bright energy. It is a solar form of illumination. Excuse me, I'm going to say it again. It's a solar form of illumination. Brightness is a solar form of illumination. Write this down. You're not going to find it in any science books. You're not going to find the white man saying this, because they ain't got up to this yet. It is a bright form. Bright is a solar form, excuse me, bright is a solar form of illumination. Light is a lunar form of illumination. Light is a lunar form of illumination. Bright is a solar form of illumination. Energy to produce power that is visible to the naked eye. Right? Brightness. Brightness. Light. The separation of the two has to come out. The realization and the separation of the two has to come out. The difference has to be made. Right? So as time is going and we're figuring out the different stages of bright or brightness versus lightness, we'll understand more, or should I say we'll have an understanding of who we actually are, what drives us. Because as I said before, your scientists never deal with the physical makeup. They're not really dealing with the physical makeup of black people. When I said this, they're not really dealing with the physical makeup of black people. They're doing things in private. They're experimenting on black people, on their genetic makeup. And the key lies in solar energy, brightness, to constantly find the expanding genetic makeup of what you're calling black people, which we refer to now as the bright race. This is the key to finding the extended solar and genetic makeup. See, they already know the limitations of the human race. They already know the limitations because the human race is based in light energy, right? Light energy or artificial energy. They know when you can chart the time frame of people from beginning, then that means you can chart their time frame to ending. And that means that there's an artificial energy or drive that goes through them, because energy in this form was created. Now, you know, they say energy can't be destroyed or created. That's true. But artificial energy can be. Creating a hybrid form of energy like water, which is a hybrid form of energy, is a hybrid form of hybrid element, because two gases had to cross to create it, right? That means that people had to crossbreed gases to get water. Then it is hybrid. It is not natural. Okay? So when we're dealing with the natural energy, right? The supernatural energy, that's dealing with brightness. That's dealing with bright. That's dealing with bright power. Bright energy, not light energy. There are many different stages of brightness. This is why they'll show you the contrast, and they'll say on your TV, make the thing brighter, make it brighter, make it brighter. They don't say make it lighter, make it lighter, make it lighter. They'll say make it brighter, brighter, brighter. And it gets so bright to where you can't even see it anymore. You can't even see a picture. You can't see a picture anymore when you adjust it too bright. The picture fades out. And you have to bring it into darkness, or in the contrast of darkness, to be able to see, have a idea of image that you're looking at, the imagery. All right? Pay attention to it, because I tell the people in the Mind Power book, you're going to understand it's going out to you, and I'll kind of explain on this for the members of the Republic of Mental Life. I'll explain on this. Your eye is supposed to adjust to brightness. You can adjust your eye to light, but your eye is supposed to adjust over time through brightness, because brightness is the extension of advanced dimensions. This is why you can keep making something brighter and brighter and brighter till it's unrecognizable, but you're supposed to adjust your eye to see it. You so-called black people, you have the extended eye to see brightness. Your humans don't. Your white race and all these other people, they don't have the extended eye to see brightness. They only have the limited eye to see light, but they don't have the extended eye to see bright. You do. This is because you have souls. Your human race don't have souls. They have spirits, which is based in water energy. Spirit is based in water energy. Soul is based in fire energy. I told you this before. Y'all don't have spirit. Y'all have souls. Well, Now, the majority of our people are operating on a spiritual energy, water-based energy. But the ones originally of our people, we had soul, so we were able to see brightness, which means we were able to see other constellations, other star constellations. This is how the what's their name? The Dogon were able to see Sirius A and Sirius B with no telescope or anything. They were able to see this, and they were able to talk about the setup of these constellations because their eyes were set to see brightness. They were constantly looking at the sky and whatnot, and their eyes were adjusted to see the bright light because they carry solar plexus to see the bright light. And they were able to extend their vision and to see these stars, these different star patterns. Now, thousands and thousands of years later, your scientists with their telescopes confirmed what your Dogons were seeing with Sirius A and Sirius B. And they was like, how the hell did they know this? And they didn't have any telescopes and this stuff back then. How did they know the settings of Sirius A and Sirius B and these other star constellations? Nobody could have saw that with a naked eye. But, as I told you before, this is why I tell you all to watch things. Pay attention to things. See, black people don't watch and pay attention to anything. If you stared at the sky long enough, you would start to see things. But you would have to adjust your eye to it, the brightness of, and the brightness of sharp contrast to the light energy that you're used to looking at here, which is inferior energy. You're used to looking at inferior light energy here on Earth, and you have not set your mind or set your vision and be enhanced through bright energy, solar energy. Your mind, your eyes are not set to see it that way. Your eyes are not set to see those constellations, those different patterns of stars. But at one time you did see it. Factual. You were able to see into different dimensions. You were able to see onto different planets, just standing from where you were. That is the ability to focus your eye on this bright energy that is streaming through this atmosphere. That's your ability to do it. And a lot of you are being blocked from it right now. A lot of you are being blocked from this ability to carry or see this bright energy or this bright light that's coming. A lot of you are blocked from it. Your eyes have been focused to or adjusted to light energy, low grade energy. Your eyes have been adjusted to that. How are your eyes adjusted to it? TV, movies, right? These are how your eye got adjusted to light energy. They give you things to look at that are based in artificial forms of light. Your computer screens. Y'all started seeing things like talking about sun gazing. There's no coincidence why you started talking about sun gazing, right? There was no coincidence why people started talking about that. Sun gazing, whether you picked it up from the white man, not whether he started calling you soul people or people of soul. That was something y'all already knew already about sun gazing, that there was something behind it, but they didn't know what was really behind it. I'm sharing it with you tonight. Why the sun gazing meant so much to you, why y'all started doing that in this day and time, because it was your way of connecting to the bright energy or to that bright transmission that's coming to the planet. That bright transmission or that bright projection from the sun that's coming to the planet is where all the intel is streaming through. And a lot of you are supposed to pick it up. The chosen, the elect one of you are supposed to pick it up in order to adjust yourself to it, in order to open up different passages in the brain through the neurotransmitters once it goes into the pineal gland, once you picked it up. And it's supposed to store different and advanced levels of intel, communication, knowledge on everything that's around you, and the extended knowledge of these things that are going to come before you. This is how telepathy works. And again, psychometry, clairvoyance, because that is nothing but extended knowledge on things that are in front of you and things that are going to come in front of you over time lapses. Brightness. The true and natural form of energy and illumination. We didn't say light. I made sure I stayed away from the word light because it would be incorrect to call brightness light. It's not. It's illumination. You're taught that there's no other form of illumination. You think that the only form of illumination is light, and it's not. Bright is the other form of illumination, the higher form of illumination. Just like you're taught that there's nothing beyond electricity when there's electricity. The four currents. When they talked about the four winds, that's currents. That's electricity. All current. And what powers that current? Bright illumination. Not light illumination, bright illumination. That which is blinding. That which would sear out the eyes of the people who are not adjusted to it. That form of light is ultimate power. That gives you the power to unlock the solar or the X-ray vision that they talk about when they talk about the X-ray vision. It is not like the X-ray vision or X-ray that makes from this machine, but it is the X-ray, right, that comes from the rays of the sun or the projected light, the projected brightness coming from the sun. That is the projection. It is the bright, not the light. It is the projected bright. It is the projected brightness that is streaming into this atmosphere, and it can also ignite the solar plex, which can raise that light throughout your body and out through your eyes to give you that ability to have that illumination of X-ray vision, that illuminated power of X-ray vision. That's real. I know people say, oh, that's some cartoon stuff. This brother making that up. He sees too many cartoons. That's some cartoons. No, it's very real. It's very real. In order for you to have an imagination, you have to have an image first in order to have an imagination. That's why the word image is there. You have to see it somewhere, or the idea of that has to be streaming through this atmosphere. You have to pick it up from somewhere. Nothing just pops into your head. It has had to be there already. It has to be streamed through here in order for you to pick it up. I say everybody here is an antenna. Pay attention, antenna. I said that in the book Mind Power. Y'all pay attention to that, antenna. Write that down and look at the word antenna. Look at it. I tell you, write that down, antenna, and look at it. Because these words are streamed through for a reason. Don't worry about whether it came through the English language or did it come from the white man. It didn't come from any man. It came from these Amen beings who sent it to man for it to be put into circulation. When I tell y'all about the number 10, there's a reason for that. You see the word antenna in the word 10. In the word antenna, you see the word 10. So as this is being streamed, this light is being streamed, we're picking up as antennas. Certain people will pick it up on lower frequencies. Certain people will pick it up on higher frequencies. We as so-called black people, so-called, now we dealing with the bright, we're supposed to pick it up on higher frequencies and on higher levels. And the other races of people were supposed to pick it up on lower levels. Because again, they were created in water. They were created by way of light, energy. We were manifested by way of bright energy. Solar power, solar energy. So these transmissions are locked into the mind, right? And the extended versions of you, which you are able to see or look into, carries a bright energy or a bright power to give you the extended vision of higher illumination. It gives you the extended version of a higher illumination. Because when you get to certain points, when you get past light, and then you're going into bright, you're going into different stages of brightness, where the light might be clear 1 minute, then it might be red the next minute, then it might be blue the next minute, then it might come off as purple, and then you see what's called a spectrum of color. These are all different forms of brightness. These are all different forms of brightness. Light only carries one clear color, but brightness carries many different colors within the spectrum. And it gives what? A complete picture. A constantly completing picture. Light would be like the version of black and white. Bright would be color. That's the best way I can describe it in terms of television and movies. Light would be the limited version of illumination. Bright is the extended version of illumination, that constantly extending version of illumination, because all spectrums within the form of color are within brightness, are within the illumination. Is this clear? Those of you, I want you to know, like I said, this is clear, and it's going to get clearer once you have an understanding of brightness. I'm going to give those of you in the Republic of Mental like an even clearer brightness and light in channel 10. In channel mind, which will eventually be channel 10. I'll give you a greater understanding of brightness and light. The spectrums of color become more clearer through brightness and extended picture. A lot of people, like you might have people who can only see, like a lot of your albinos, they can only see in black and white. Some of them can only see things in black and white. They can't see things in color. Color is via or able to be seen through brightness. Black and white is only through light. You see things in color, and the reason why you humans see things in color because they pick that up from you through your connection and genetic material that you gave to them. They were able to see things in color, and even then, their vision in color is still limited. Your human race, because they still see through light, so their vision is limited. This is why I tell y'all, stop taking everything they say at face value, because everything that they see is based on everything that they say is based on what they see or what they observe. I said you do the observations and you see for yourself if what they're saying is correct. I don't care if they're scientists, I don't care what they are. You look at it yourself, because your vision is way more extended than theirs. Their vision is very limited. That's why I told you, I gave you when your vision is in a higher state of power, you can see different planets. You can see different star alignments and things like that, like you stand up close on them, because you carry that bright power within you from the solar plex to see these things. Your humans don't have it. It's missing. They don't have it. Their vision is very limited. But you don't look at these things. You don't take these things seriously. You don't pay attention to them. So you miss these things. A lot of things are said in front of you now that you don't even pick up on. It's no coincidence that the white man refers to the most intelligent, or the one he calls a genius, which deals with genetics. The word genius deals with genetics. The ones who he calls intelligent or genius, he calls them bright. So what he's saying when he refers to them as a genius is that this is a genetic race of people who are highly intelligent. Who is he talking about? He's not talking about himself. He was talking about y'all or us at one time. A genetic race of highly intelligent beings, the Amen Bing. And they were trying to pattern themselves after these Amen Bing, and they used the term bright people, or people who are bright or intelligent people. Right? And they were always seeking what? Light. And in seeking light, they became the Illuminati, illumination, illumination, nation, a collective people seeking light. Because through the light is power, and they're trying to connect to the brightness as light beings. They're trying to connect to the pure brightness. Because when you're talking about pure light, you're talking about actually pure brightness. That is that energy, that illuminated power that is not run off of earthbound elements. Earthbound element like water. Water is an earthbound element. It is a planetary element. When you go to other planets, it's also there in other planets. It was set up that way to put water on these planets. because these planets were not set up for day-to-day, everyday running of uh, um, electrical appliances and things like that off of that bright power. Now mankind is trying to do that now. He's trying to set them up to have, or it's a whole electrical system based on bright energy. Before it was light energy. Now he's basing it off of bright energy through the solar panels. But they trying to make sure they get it correct because it can take out the whole system, even melt their panels if they don't know what they're doing. If they don't know how to route that solar energy that's coming to the planet, that bright energy that's coming to the planet, they don't know how to route it. So it's important that we pay attention to bright knowledge. Bright knowledge, that's what mentellect is. Mentellect is bright knowledge, the extension of bright knowledge, outer dimensional knowledge and interdimensional knowledge. And all that came apparent when we hit the 10th stage after 9, where the 9 represented the top or the highest and singular number where we were all together. But then when 10 came, that was the separation. That was the separation of almond and human, bright and light, black and bright. This was the separation because things are being made more clear. As things are being made more clear, things start to separate. When you make things clearer, the picture does what? It starts to extend. And when the picture starts to extend, you get a broader view of what it is you're actually looking at. When you're dealing with light, you get a limited view of what you're looking at. Your view is limited because it's still like you're looking through, or your eyes have been trained to see in limitations because you're looking through light transmissions. Light transmissions are controlled here on this planet. What you see, how much you see, what you don't see, light transmission. When the white man was doing the whole holographic thing, that was another form of elusive light. They're trying to control your level of viewing, your level of seeing. Same way they try to control what you think, what you say, and all this, they want to control what you see, the level of light in which your eye takes in. Which your eye takes in. They want to control that as well. Because by not controlling that, you're going to see things that they don't want you to see. You're going to see things through the brightness that they don't want you to see. This is why they had to create all of the television, the movies, and things like that, and put people there to watch these things constantly. Because they're adjusting your eyesight to light, to lunar-driven light. They don't want you adjusting or readjusting your eye to solar-driven brightness, a solar-driven bright, because then that means that your vision has extended beyond theirs. This is why there's different contrasts and levels of illumination to brightness. This is going to be in a series of the books that's only for members. I'm not going to put all of this in because, like I said, people are going to hear this. And the majority of people that hear this, they're not going to understand it. They'll try to push some of it. And some people might try to put some or fit it into what they teach them. But you have to be able to get this over time. And then you have to be able to see what's being said over time. And why it's being said. Why the separation of illumination is important. Because before you can even separate people, you have to separate what they see in their level of vision and viewing. Certain people will see things on a higher level because that's the basis of true intelligence. The basis of true intelligence versus non-intelligence is what you can see. And I'm not just talking about with the naked eye. I'm talking about what you can see through the third eye, what you can pull in, what you can actually fathom and imagine, or what you can bring in, what your mind is open to receive. That is through brightness, not light, but through bright. They didn't introduce the word bright in because they didn't want people to feel comfortable saying bright. Now, you feel very comfortable saying light when you're making the description of illumination and sight, but you don't feel comfortable in saying bright because they teach you that brightness is only dealing with contrast of illumination, not illumination itself, not higher illumination. But you must have an understanding that this is dealing with higher illumination, higher density, higher definitiveness, extended view, extended vision. This is how the Amen beings are able to see everything on every planet. They're able to see everything from every planet without using machines, without using cameras. You become the camera. You are able to see into different dimensions without using cameras, without using satellites, without using hearing and listening devices, because these are all artificial forms of reception. You're supposed to be the natural form of reception through brightness. You're supposed to be able to do all the things the cameras could do. You're supposed to be able to see all of these things without having to even turn your head. You're supposed to be able to hear all these things, pick up all these things without any equipment. This comes by way of brightness. This comes by way of light, the reception of it, the transmission of it. This is really what telepathy, psychometry, clairvoyance, and intuition is. This is the natural or the supernatural connection toward that bright light that you have within and that's coming from without. From the sun being projected into the atmosphere to the solar plex, which is sitting inside of you, to produce pictures, extended pictures. You're supposed to see outer planetary and outer dimensional images just as if they were standing right there. When the white man shows you, he shows you those holographic pictures where he say, oh, you're someplace and the person looking right at you, but they're in another time frame, they're in another dimension and whatnot. No, what they're describing to you is that these people are able to stream themselves into an atmosphere or stream themselves into an environment that is carrying the same light of brightness. And they can contrast it in and contrast it out. Contrast in, contrast out. This is why you're able to see these things in pure and clear transmission. It is over the light. The brightness is over the light. The brightness is over the light. The brightness produced the light, not the other way around. The brightness produced the light. The first form of illumination is bright. The artificial and the next form of it is light. That's why I said at one point in time, I said I'm going to teach the bright race, and then eventually over time I'm going to teach the light race. What is the light race? The light race is going to be what's left of your human race in the future, when they all are meshed into one race of people, that neutral race that Dr. York spoke about. The neutral race, where there will be no more black people, there will be no more white people, there will be no more Asian. They're going to mesh them all into one race, and they will become the light people. They keep using terms like how they keep using the rainbow people, or what they call them, the amber people, or the indigo children. All these, they keep using these different terminologies to describe these people. Right? That is the neutral race. But they will still be under light transmission. They're trying to push them toward brightness. This is why the white man is trying to go to different planets and whatnot. He's trying to understand, as well as living there, but he's trying to understand how light affects, or that brightness of solar energy affects these other worlds. He's trying to understand how it affects these other worlds. They understand the bright transmission. By doing away with the word soul, like I said, if you notice, they've replaced the word soul with spirit. They don't say soul anymore. By doing away with the word soul, by not explaining to you the difference between bright and light, they are virtually keeping you separated from your ascendants. Because the bright light that is in the atmosphere is going further out. The bright light that is going in extended light, the brightness, should I say the extended brightness of illumination, represents your blood, your bloodline, your ascendants. It represents the soul of your people. So when they're trying to erase that, When they're trying to erase even the description of it, nor are they trying to explain it to you, they are cutting off your genetics. They are severing your tie with your ascendants, and they are thus cutting your higher mental capabilities so that you stay under control of them. They're not going to let you know about the difference between brightness and light. They don't want you knowing these things. They don't want you knowing the difference between bright and light because they want you to look to who is the highest form of illumination on the planet. Your white scientists. They're the highest form. You consider them the most intelligent people on the planet, don't you not? Your scientists, you consider them the most intelligent people. They told you to stop looking for a God, stop looking beyond them, because what that translates into is stop looking for the soul, stop looking for illumination, stop looking for a higher source, and look to them, the false light. Don't look to the true bright or the true soul or a higher force. Don't look to anything other than them. That's what they want. And they have a lot of people who are dispatched out to get you to stop focusing on the bright and on the soul, the brightness of your soul, which is the extension of your genetic or your almond genetic, right? It's the extension of it, and they want you to link into the human genetic, the limitation beyond or behind them. This is why they're not going to explain the difference between bright and light. They're not going to explain the difference between soul and spirit. They're not going to do it. They're not going to let you know that you have an extended form of illumination, viewing, and outer dimensional connection that they don't have. They don't want you knowing that. I was making a comment to somebody today. I said, if you notice, they took all the soul music out. They took all the real instruments out. They don't show our people playing instruments anymore. They don't show our people dancing anymore. Nothing. Not real dancing. They got this fake soulless music that is all generated by keyboards and drum machines. There's no more bass playing. There's no more guitar. There's no more drum. All that is gone. They don't want y'all people dancing, because what that does is it excites or ignites something in you when you are dancing on beat within rhythm, right? That is a form of measurement. That is a form of movement. You're dancing in a rhythm that they can't dance to. So what does that do? That further separates you. When you see them starting to dance and you see they have no rhythm, that further separates you. It pulls you further away from them because you're moving on a certain pattern. You're moving on a certain vibration. You're moving on a certain bright, right, that they don't have. They don't have that. You saw it in the 60s, 70s. Black people used to laugh, so-called black people used to laugh at white people and every other people telling them they ain't got no rhythm, they can't dance, they don't know how to move, nothing. So more and more, they had to erase that, because every time you were dancing to this, every time you were creating music and vibration, because that's what you do when you're creating music, you're creating vibrations, you're creating tones and frequency, you are bringing the brightness out. And you're forming a connection to the outer dimensional bright light of solar plex or solar connection to the sun. You're forming a extended connection, and they don't want that, because then when you start looking at things, when you start seeing the difference in things, when you seeing how people are moving, you seeing how they react or interact when certain music come on, that they don't like that, because it just shows a difference in the two. And once you see the difference in the two, then you want to get away from them. You don't want to be with them anymore. So what did they have to do? They had to erase the soul. No more mention of it. They had to erase the music. They're not promoting soul, real soul music anymore. They're not pushing people out. They got this music that is like spirit music. That's why I refer to the spirit music, where there is only working off of artificial sound, artificial frequency, limited sound, limited frequency, the same way the light works off a limited illumination or a limited form of energy. They want you working the same way. And a lot of you have already converted over to that. I listen to the so-called black music today. There's no rhythm to it. There's no soul in it. There is no soul in black music today. And when there is no soul, when there's absence of soul, that means there's absence of soul in the music. There's absence of energy in the music. There's absence of power in the music. There's absence of brightness in the music. There's absence of brightness in the music. And what does that do? It keeps you disconnected from your ascendants. It keeps you disconnected from your ascendants. It's more than just making music. You're creating frequency and vibration. You're creating extended frequency and vibration, and you are getting people to move. You are raising their solar plex. You are raising that energy throughout their body into the crown seat. When you got them moving, you got them excited, you got them motivated, you are raising their temperature when they're dancing. And when you're raising their temperature, you're bringing out the brightness within these people's souls. You're bringing it out. And these people start making better decisions in the things they're doing. The type of people they meeting. Right? They talked about how, Babies was made off of certain soul music in the 70s and things like that, because that frequency and tone and those words that were heard and say people like Earth, Wind, and Fire and Stevie Wonder and those people like that, that was music that was raising them mentally and bringing out the brightness in them, igniting their soul, and it was making them, it was causing a translucent and a fixed image of connection. And from there, they made it from that music, and they made children from that music. Right? They formed connections to that music, and that extends the bloodline. Now, if you notice, the music they got now, it does not inspire men and women to stay together. It does not inspire extended mental connection. It does not inspire it. It inspires animal mentality. The brightness, right? The brightness is absent, and only the light remains, the illumination. And what vibrates off of the light? Animals, humans, right? Things that are locked in person, place, and possession, but you're supposed to be vibrating and moving off of the brightness, above the light, the solar transmission, the projection. You're supposed to be vibrating off of that. It's no coincidence that, like I said, the elites, they don't promote in this music industry. They don't promote black bands and soul and all this kind of music, and they don't promote none of that. If you don't have that spiritual sound like they want, that sound that is void of bass, that is void of drum, that is void of real instrumental connection, right? And the infusing of tone and frequency and a bright procession to raise and extend the solar mind, then they are not going to sign you. If you have that, they're not going to sign you. They want to they want people to be on one tone, one low tone. They want people on one low tone, one low frequency, one artificial tone, one artificial frequency that runs off of illuminated light. Light transmission, illuminated light that runs off of water. The same thing which earthbound electricity runs off of. Earthbound electricity runs off of water, off of air. Like the wind, like when you have the wind, you have the windmill energy. They want everybody vibrating off of that water-based frequency. They don't want you vibrating on a solar frequency. They want you on a lunar frequency. And that comes by way of the light, the artificial light here on Earth. They don't want you running off of the natural light, the solar power. They don't want you running off of that. That's the brightness. That's the bright. That's the one that has a constant contrast outward, outward, outward until you can't even see it no more. If your eyes are not adjusted to receive it, if your mind is not adjusted to receive it, you can't even receive it no more. You can't get it. They don't want you focused in that way. They want you to think that everything that you see is in front of you. They want you to think that there is nothing new under the sun. But being that everything comes from the sun and beyond the sun, from the minds of people beyond the sun, then there's always something new. The people who say that, these are the people who have fixed their minds to the limited illumination, the limited light of this planet. They fix their minds around the illumination of this planet, the limited light of this planet, which is controlled by the elites, by mankind. This is what Lady Sophia Stewart was talking about in The Matrix. This is what she was talking about. The limited illumination of lesser light. That which is run off of lunar energy, that which is run off of lunar energy, that which is run off of water, that which is controlled by emotion. This is what they was talking about, the light, the artificial light that controls people on the planet, the masses. They're not looking toward the bright. They don't even know the bright exists. They don't understand that there's a higher form of illumination above this light. They don't get that. And when you tell people that, when you say, just like right now in this broadcast, a lot of people want to have a hard time listening to it. I tell you, if this is hard for you to fathom, because this is the only place you're going to hear this through Mentellect. You're not going to hear it anyplace else. You're not going to hear it coming out no white scientist's mouth. You ain't going to hear it from the conscious community. You ain't going to hear it from these spiritual, mystic, guru Negroes in the conscious community. You ain't going to hear it from nowhere other than Mentellect. And if you cannot process this through the command of logic and rationale, what I'm saying, then don't listen. Stop listening to this broadcast. Don't listen to this. This is not for you. This is only going to be for the ones of our people who are able to receive and transmit out this light, or should I say transmit the brightness of this message, the different contrasts to the higher levels of this message. There's an extension to this message. You're supposed to be able to transmit the knowledge of brightness and transmit the level of light. You're supposed to have a higher understanding of light and its limitations, and a advanced or even higher understanding of brightness, which is the next level, which is the next realm. You're supposed to know that brightness exists beyond light, and it is constantly needing to be contrasted. It is constantly needing to be contrasted. Constantly have to fix your vision, your thought process, to break down this light and to formulate these pictures that which is being pushed in front of your face. You have to be constantly setting your mind to process this light and the different things you're going to see in the outer dimensions, the different spectrums of light. These are nothing but extended images. And like I said, the people who are not fit to get these images are the people who saying things like there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new going to come from beyond the sun. You're right in that sense, meaning that based on the fact that in this realm, everything is based on person, place, and possession. Everything is based on light, which is an artificial and lower form of illumination, then you're right. There will be nothing new here. The only thing that's going to be new, but there is new things that's being introduced atmosphere from beyond the sun and being passed or projected into this atmosphere. It's being passed or projected into this atmosphere because, like I said, I keep saying this to the people who say, well, ain't nothing new under the sun. Well, I said this before. Where the TVs came from, where the radios came from. All of these are outputs of bright knowledge. These are all outputs of brighter knowledge that mankind got his hands on and made a form of illumination around it, limited light or lesser light around it. Because the TVs, the radios, and all of these other things, they are higher versions of it that work off of solar power and off of solar energy. There are higher versions of it. What you're seeing right now is just televisions that are working off of lunar energy and lunar power that are being run off of that. But as time goes on and the bright race, the almond beings send the knowledge on the television or the advanced television, the advanced screening through the sun and into this atmosphere to the certain people who are going to pick it up, it's going to run these forms of media or entertainment going to run off of solar or bright power, and the look is going to be different. The look is going to be totally different. It's going to get adjusted. And your eyes are going to have to be adjusted because we have never had anything where everything was just full on brightness. You have never lived in a world where everything was full on brightness, full on brightness, full on natural to supernatural illumination. You've never had that. But it's going to come a time where we are going to have it. We're going to have it where things are going to be in a higher and definitive state of solar bright illumination. Transfix these things, the ability to transmit these things and receive these things is also the ability to rearrange things within its atmosphere, molecular structures, genetic structures, right? And put things here that are not here. Pay attention. These things and the imaging and the focusing of light are the open door to outer dimensional images, extended images. Brightness is the open door to extended images, outer dimensional images. And when people are not able to pick this up, guess what? These are the people who are manipulated. These are the people who are not able to tune in on a higher frequency. They're not able to see the extended versions of themselves. Brightness gives you the ability to see the extended versions of yourself. Light blocks it. Right? The brightness is supposed to be blinding. Brightness is supposed to be blinding, but your eyes are supposed to be adjusted to it. The light is easy. It's the brightness that's blinding, but your eyes are supposed to be adjusting to it. Because once your eyes are adjusted to the brightness of the light, or the brightness of the illumination, I want to get out of that same thing of saying putting bright and light together. Once your eyes are adjusted to the brightness of the illuminated energy, then images will become clearer to you. Images will become more recognizable to you. I've already seen it. I've already seen it. That's how I'm able to do what I do. To be able to zoom in to certain things, future knowledge that I'm sharing with you now, knowledge that is ahead of us, that I'm bringing into the present state, or that's in the now state. I'm able to zoom in to that and pull it forward, or pull it into this present state, into the transfixed present. And in pulling that knowledge in from the future ahead of us, we're pulling ourselves forward. We are readying ourselves to be transformed. We are readying ourselves to go through this evolution of outer dimensional growth and extension of our advanced selves. This is the Omni. Something had to happen. We had to have contact with a power and an energy that would grow us into extended beings. That is the bright, or the brightness that I'm describing, the bright solar energy that I'm describing. Or brightness makes everything grow. Light makes things grow to a limited level. Brightness makes things grow to an extended level, and even a more extended level, because the contrast is constantly you have to constantly be focused toward the contrast. You have to constantly be in alignment with the contrast. You have to constantly fix yourself to receive the contrast of the extended light of brightness. You have to constantly fix yourself to receive that, the extension of that light, because in the extension of that light, in the extension of that brightness is the higher or advanced extensions of you. And the extension of that bright illumination is the extended versions of you, the advanced outer dimensional versions of you, the future versions of you, the future versions of yourself in your life. And sometimes you get a glance of those extended versions of yourself, and you call that telepathy, psychometry, clairvoyance, the ability to see future, events and future visions of yourself and things that people are going to do in the future, because you linked into that bright stream of illumination, that bright stream of energy that is coming through this atmosphere. You linked into it. But you have to be bright to receive it. You have to be bright to receive it. You cannot be black to receive it. You cannot be white to receive it, because black and white are limited by light. I'm going to say it again in case you didn't understand me. Black, or what you're calling yourself as black people, and Caucasian, or white people, what they're calling as white people, humans, are limited by light. You have to be bright in order to be extended by it, because once you hit the stage of from going over light into a state of bright or brightness, you come into that time of advanced or higher spectrums of color, definitive, and higher states of existence. You come into that state. If you are not there, if you don't see the possibility of what's being said, then it doesn't, it's not for you to see. You are a person that is hopelessly stuck in the light. You are hopelessly stuck in the light. It's the same way as the person who is stuck between good and bad, black and white, the gray areas. They stuck between that. People who are constant and continuous, the supreme people, are in the bright. They're in the bright. They're in the brightness of extended reality. They are in the brightness of extended reality, outside the limitations of light, outside the limitations of dark. They are constant brightness. And the world is so limited by light and dark that these people have to try and fix themselves when they say, yeah, the light is blinding, the light is chaotic, it's blinding. It's not this blindness that you can't see it. It's that you can't see it. You're not on that level to see it, because the blinding light that you're talking about is the intelligence that is coming at an alarming and rapid rate that you can't see it. You can't comprehend it. So already you get excited by it. You say it's chaotic. You can't see it. You can't picture it. That's because your mind has not adjusted to it, and your eyes have not adjusted to that which is streaming into this atmosphere as advanced or higher intelligence. Like a lot of people are having time listening to this. They're going to have a hard time listening to it, because it's not what was given to you in the realm of light knowledge, in the realm of light, in the realm of person, place, and possession, in the realm of looking at these men who call themselves learned men, scientists, that are giving it to you, because you've already been programmed to listen to these people in the knowledge of light. We got one more break coming. We're going to take one more break, and we shall be... Oh, wrong song. I wanted to lighten up a little bit. We are back. I know my playlist tonight has been a little unusual, and I did this because I I wanted to mix things up a little bit, and I put in a bunch of new, not really new music, but music that was on the playlist, new music I'm adding on and stuff. So, and I said this is fitting because the topic is new tonight. It is the knowledge that is coming from beyond the sun, through the sun, and into this atmosphere to the chosen people who are meant to hear it. Because you got people that will hear this, and they're not going to be able to get it. That, again, is dealing with light and bright. The people who are able to hear things on an extended level are the bright people, and this is still dealing with the higher states of illumination. Your science is not going to tell you that your ability to hear things at greater depth is based on light as well, and illumination. The frequency of sound is based on light. They ain't going to tell you that yet, that it's based on sound, right? It's based on sound, the ability to hear sound, to smell things, right? To see certain things is based on how much light you're able to receive, how much illumination you're able to receive. The majority of the people on the planet are only able to receive light illumination. When you get to the bright illumination, that's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother state of existence, a whole and extended state of existence. right? This is why our people are able to play the type of music they play. This is why we were able to be highly advanced sports figures. We were able to think on a higher level. The advanced things, why we kept things going, because that bright illumination that we were receiving, that extended communication, that outer dimensional communication, was what guided us into the future. We had that at access mentally. We were able to access that mentally, which kept us ahead of everybody who was only working off of the light. Your humans work off of light. Your almond beings, your almond work off of the bright. Almond work off the bright. The humans work off light. The bright is the solar energy. That is not just the sun which you see, but the multiple suns within the universe. There are multiple suns that are going throughout space, going throughout the universe. There are multiple suns, not just this one sun. And we are supposed to be able to work off of that as the receivers of that bright illumination. That bright illumination is the extension or the connection with our soul or our solar plexus. You understand that? This is what gives our hair the rise that it has. Our skin has this carbonated coating on it, right? Our lips and our nose have this fullness to it. That is the brightness of temperature, right? That is the brightness of temperature. The extended light. Beyond the light, the extended illumination. Like I said, to recap, you have light illumination and you have bright illumination. Right? Bright illumination is the highest and it's supernatural to natural, or the superior or supreme natural state beyond Earth, beyond this atmosphere. Right? Extended illumination. And then you have on to this the unnatural or the artificial light. You have the artificial light. You have the artificial form of illumination, light. Light is an artificial form of illumination. Bright is a natural to supernatural form of extended illumination. Write this down, because I'm going to tell my people, and like I said, the ones of you who are listening, that in the books that are coming out only for the registered members, this is what's being brought forth as bright knowledge. Now people say, that sounds like what Dr. York was talking about, but right knowledge. Yeah, it's a take on it on another level, because we are beyond right and wrong. We are beyond right and wrong. It's not about right and wrong. It's about brightness. Because no matter what you do, people are going to judge it either as good or bad, but only you know why you did it, because based on the brightness of something, based on the extended reason, logic, and rationale, because that's where logic and rationale stems from, brightness. When you give people an extended view, an extended picture or explanation of why you did what you did, then it becomes justifiable, it becomes understandable. But those who don't have a command of brightness, those who don't have a command of logic and rationale, those who lack soul and only have a spirit and only controlled by the spirit, by emotion, by the lunar, by the water, by the light, the low light and the low level of illumination, of light illumination, your explanations are going to be incomplete. Your thoughts are going to be incomplete. And this is the people today. Their thoughts are incomplete. The religious world runs on light. And they also work off dark. They work off light and dark, light and dark, light and dark, like black and white, good and bad, black and white, light and dark. They don't work beyond that. So their level of everything is limited. Their way of thinking is limited. They can't see the bright. They can't see the bright. They can see the light because they've been adjusted to see the light. The light has set their laws up and their orders to control them. They can't see the brightness. There's limitations in their vision. There's limitations in their way of thinking. This is why the white man wanted you to call yourself black and he called himself white, right? Because black represents block or darkness to light. I was going to break down the black to the block. It represents a shield in the light. He represented himself as the one who was the controller of the light. That's why he called himself white. He represented himself as the controller of the light. And he is the controller of the light on this realm. In this realm, he is the controller of the light. What is the light? The electricity, your televisions, your radios, your internet. He is the controller of the light. Or should I say he is in charge of the light. But we all know that that light could be shut off at any minute through the bright. The bright could shut all of that down. Those who control the bright or the brightness, the solar energy, the solar reception, the solar communication, they can shut all of that down. The Amen Bing, of which we were extended, and we are an extension of. They don't want you to know that. They get nervous. I'll be honest with you. They get nervous every time when our people gather together and there's somebody who's speaking intelligently, they get nervous. The elites get nervous when our people are gathered because they might say, oh, these people might figure it out. That you vibrate on a whole nother frequency. That you're supposed to be vibrating on a whole nother frequency. Beyond light. Beyond dark. The extension of brightness is the frequency that you're supposed to vibrate on. The extension of brightness is the frequency in which you're supposed to vibrate on. For those of you who don't have a clear understanding of what I'm saying, you're welcome to call in. Because like I said, I don't want people saying, you know, like this clown Fred Red. Red Fred, I hope you listening, Red Fred. You talking about, oh, I'm remixing Dr. York's teachings, I'm remixing Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine. And I said, yeah, show and improve. You come on and tell me why they saying anything I'm saying, and I'll stop teaching. I'll stop teaching because I don't listen to these people. I don't listen to these people. I don't listen to Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine. I don't listen to those people. So, like I said, for those of you who have questions about what I'm teaching, the difference between bright illumination and light illumination within Mentellect, you can call in. The number is 319-527-6028. You have to push 1. I know we got a lot of listeners on the line tonight, but you have to push 1 so I'll know that you kind of call in and you have a question. I'm taking questions. We got 14 minutes. Don't call at the end of the 14 minutes because, like I said, I'll always leave it open for calls because if people are going to make claims like that I'm copying from this person, I don't copy from people. I don't do remixes, Fred Red. I don't do remixes. I don't repeat what has already been said. A lot of things are being clarified. I'm going to clarify, and I'm going to take it to a step higher. I'm going to take it to a step higher because it's in every teacher who comes that they must take it, what has been said already, clarify it, and give greater brightness to it, give greater contrast to it so it becomes clear to the masses who may not have understood or had an understanding to it. It becomes clearer as you adjust the brightness of it, right? You raise the vibration and the frequency of it so people can have a clearer understanding of it. So I came to do that and bring more. I came to bring the next. Beyond new, beyond old, the next, the constant and the continuous brightness of this message known as Mentellect for the mentally elect, for the chosen people who are being raised in this day and time. The continuous. This is the next thing beyond the sun. Beyond new, beyond old, beyond black, beyond white, beyond dark, beyond light. This is Mentellect. And those who carry this level of intelligence, those who are able to receive this level of intelligence, then that means that you're supposed to be within the Republic of Mentellect. This is the society you're supposed to be a part of. You're not supposed to be a Muslim, Christian, Israelite, all these things from the last 20th century. You're not supposed to be part of that. You're not supposed to be part of that because that represents people in the light, and the people in the light are the people in the dark. I'm going to say it again. The people who are in the light are the people who are in the dark. Black and white, good and evil, We're supposed to be beyond that. Once mentellect came, once bright knowledge came, once the separation of soul and spirit, which I brought out through mentellect, came, we're supposed to be in a whole nother class now. We're not even supposed to be looking back at none of this no more. Once the whole bringing out of the almond race, separate from the human race, came out, we ain't even supposed to be looking back anymore. We're supposed to be looking forward as the almond race, as the bright race. And those of you who are not in the Republic of Mentellect, those of you who saying, "Oh, I like what you still in the black race. You still going between the light and the dark. You still in the light and the dark. You still back and forth. You still moving back and forth between inferior and superior, light and dark. When we're supposed to go into a state of supremacy, brightness represents the supremacy because the supremacy is the highest. There is no bottom to the supremacy. There is no bottom. There is no opposite. That's the same way bright is. That's the same way bright is. There is no opposite to bright. People say, well, what about dark? No. Dark is when you take that which is bright and you try to shield it or shade it, right? You try to shade it and you try to add things to it to extend it or you stretch it out. Like, for example, if I give somebody knowledge, I give truth to it, and you feel the power in it, but you don't feel it's palatable for people to understand or comprehend, what you do is you start adding things to it that other people are familiar with. And by you doing that, you start throwing shade to the brightness. You start putting shade on the brightness by trying to throw things to it that people are familiar with within the light and the dark, trying to give them things to shade it instead of trying to raise their minds to have an understanding of the extension of brightness beyond light, beyond dark, and trying to get them to extend their minds to that or open their minds to the extension. You're trying to bring their minds down and trying to mesh in that which is bright, and you're trying to shade it to whereas now it has some sort of familiarity to something that it was not meant to be connected to or linked to. That's what you do. So no, they're opposite to brightness. There's only bright. You understand? There is no opposite. There is no looking back. There is no, I don't know. There is no good and bad to this. There's only brightness. There is no light and dark to this. There's only brightness. There's only extensions of illumination. There's only extensions of illumination. There is only extensions of illumination. There is no dark. There is no light. There's only bright, the extension of illumination. And in the extension of illumination is the extension of your mental capacity, is the extension of who you actually are beyond good and evil, the essence of who you are, the constant extension of who you are. Because in light and dark is limitations. And in anything that has a limitation, it's only because it is not natural. And it does not have the ability to become supernatural and keep going into the state of supernatural, because the state of supernatural is constant and continuous, just like brightness. Those of you who cannot adjust your vision, your sight, your mind, your soul to the brightness or the bright illumination, then that means you belong within black and white. You belong in the limited viewpoint of light and dark, black and white. You belong there. You don't belong in the spectrum, in the continuous spectrum of color, of perception, of extension. You don't belong there. It's not for you. You will keep constantly bouncing back and forth between black and white, light and dark, light and dark, good and evil. They don't have a place here in intellect. They don't have a place within bright knowledge. They don't have a place. This is the extended door. This is the higher illumination. This is the highest state of existence, the highest state of being. This is beyond black consciousness, which is still dealing with light and dark. This is beyond red, black, and green. This is beyond metaphysics. This is beyond psychology, psychometry, and all this other nonsense. I didn't mean to say psychometry, but that's the best way you understand it. This is the definitive and extended illumination of higher intelligence, advanced intelligence, extended self, extended collective. Brightness is beyond light. Bright is beyond light. Bright is how we came here. As those who were carrying a full-on solar plex body, solar plexal body, of pure light, blinding to those who were in a state of creation, who were created in the lesser light of water, controlled by illumination, emotion, mood, limited in mindset between light and dark, good and evil. We were manifested in the brightness of solar power, extended and continuous solar power. We were manifested in the brightness of continuous and extended solar power, the bright. So let me go ahead and answer these questions before we get out of here. I hope this was clear tonight. I gave everybody the opportunity to call in, ask me questions, question me about it, ask me about this, so I could have just easily explained it to you. I don't want to hear nobody saying, oh, is he copying from these? No, I'm not copying metaphysics. I don't read those books. I don't read none of that nonsense. That is coming from a limited perception. That's coming from people that are trapped in the light and the dark. I'm not trapped in the light and the dark. I'm not trapped between good and evil. I'm not trapped in negative and positive and negative. I don't work off that. I'm not trapped in black and white. Don't work off of that. It's only the brightness, only bright. What is the difference between bright power and light power? As I explained, bright is burning solar energy, gases and friction, all this thing. That is the burning of solar energy. Bright is the burning of solar energy. It produces brightness. And light is the running of water, artificial elements that were created on this planet. It was the running of water that creates light energy. Right? And then humans were created in water. That's why they are only limited to light energy and dark energy. Which came first? The bright came first. The bright came first. Out of everything came lesser. Out of the greater came the lesser. The brightness is the greater and extended, and out of the lesser came the light and the dark. From brightness came light and dark. Right? Why do they exist? Light and dark exist for control of vision. It exists for control of viewing. It exists for control of magnification and the seeing of things and the connection to things, the extension of things and the limitation of things. Right? Certain people are not able to receive the bright light, and you got certain people who are able to receive the light or the lesser light. And certain people are supposed to grow into it, and certain people are not. Right? Again, which is where the white man gets this thing of, oh, the brightest person is the genius, or the genetic extension of that God race. Which one is more powerful? Bright. You have a whole solar system that's run on bright knowledge, on bright perception, bright illumination. A whole solar system. Matter of fact, all solar systems are run on bright light, on the bright light of the sun, or suns within their solar system, within their exchange. Everything. So much so now the white man's trying to convert solar energy onto this planet. Who carries which one? Your almond race, right, carries the bright energy or the bright solar, bright illumination, and their descendants are the black race, or the majority of what was called the so-called black race, which was once the bright race. And your humans, your Caucasians, your East Indians, your Asians, the ones who were created on Earth, they carry the light energy. They carry the light power. We carry the bright power. But the majority of our people are working on the light side now, and the limitations as black people. And that's it. Join us Monday night for the next Mentellect radio broadcast. And those of you in the Republic of Mentellect, you know we have a phone conference tomorrow. I'm announcing it now. We got a phone conference 3 and 4. We have our phone conference tomorrow. I am the intellectual Nuben Minkari. This has been Mentellect Radio. We'll be meeting in December 18th for the Supermen, Superwoman Conference here in Brooklyn, New York. Good night.
It's the Republic of Mentellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, and then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we